Hi there, everybody. This is Mark Bromley, your favorite author and artist of the Yoranthium book series. Today, I am just going to show you the book cover of Yoranthium Lost Hope for the hardback edition. I think I'm actually going to be creating a new cover as well. I'm going to add some Japanese Yoranthium characters that I actually created uh, over the last few days and stuff. That's taken some time because I've created my own art style for some Japanese character lettering. So I'm going to try to incorporate a new poster of the back-to-back image here uh, with Japanese characters. So Uranthium in Japanese. It's actually a kanji katakana kind of images, like Lost Hope is going to be Ushu Warete Kaibo. That's what that's going to say. And then Uranthium is just going to be Uranthium in kanji. And we're going to have a few of those, like Chasho for Mark P. Bromley, for the author. And then the book one is going to be there too. And yeah, we're just going to try to blend that in, maybe make a different kind of picture so you can actually maybe see the English alongside the Japanese characters. So you can see that being hybrid. Um, yeah, I read a little bit of hiragana and katakana. Kanji's difficult for me because I hadn't learned kanji too well, but nonetheless, I can actually read some of it. And I guess I'm going to practice translating my own book in Japanese. That's going to be an interesting a direction to go with it. And anyways, the hardback book is available. You can get that for sale. But one of the major things I really want to talk about is some comparisons to current science fiction and fantasy. I think that there's a lot of science fiction and fantasy authors that are getting, for some reason, they're being given a lot of resources, and I don't think they deserve those resources. I think those resources are misdirected on some authors of science fiction. I took a look at one thing called the three body problem. I mean, I'm going to take on a big issue right here because the three body problem is, in my opinion, communism, writing science fiction and fantasy. I'm trying to reach out to the American audiences and democracies and trying to convert you into communist and socialist ways of thinking. And I think it's really absurd and kind of funny because the three body problem has a solution. Three suns and one planet. There's nothing else in the system except for that one planet, right? Nothing else in the system except for that one planet. That means that if that one planet exists, nothing else exists around these three suns, that there is a solution to the three body problem. It says it screams it out loud because if there's nothing else in the solar system around the three body problem and there's just that one planet, that means that the sun tidal forces gravitational effects are so powerful it's cleared out everything in that solar system. It's gobbled it all up, it's destroyed it all, it's eliminated all of it, and it's all gone. But it left that one planet. That one planet is in a stable orbit. It is so stable around three suns that the three suns can't do anything to that one planet. The three suns can't do anything to themselves either because they can't gobble up another sun. So the suns are protected from the suns, and the planet is protected from the suns. So they're balanced. The three body problem says that the whole entire solar system is balanced, and because it's balanced, there's a solution. The number of years that the planet can exist without being affected by the suns has a known time frame because it's not being destroyed by the suns. So it's stable, and that stability means that there's a solution. That everything can be known about how that solar system is going to work. So the whole pretense of the three body problem is absurd because if you had three suns in close proximity to each other and one planet, if it was unsolvable, you would end up with only one sun. one sun would eventually win out over the other bodies in the system. But that's not happening, so it's balanced. So the distances must be at such a rate that it makes all things in that the four items in that system completely solvable. So the whole thing is solvable. So that's the first thing I have to point out about the three body problem. Now, the second thing about the three body problem is that it talks about the hunter in the dark forest. Well, a lot of people who want to create fear want to tell you that things are always dark. Even in Yoranthium, I talk about darkness and stuff like that. But in later books of the Yoranthium book series, there's a big reveal. If you don't want to know about the big reveal, stop watching the video right now. Don't continue on, because I might be giving you a spoiler in this about some of the aspects of what the Yoranthium book series actually illustrates later in the series beyond book 5. And basically, it's about the illuminated universe. You see, we silly humans were cursed with one thing. We were born too close to a sun. And because as a human being race, being a Victorian moth, flying too close to the flame, we have become blinded by the brightness of our own sun, that we do not see the luminosity that exists within the universe itself. Nothing is dark. All things are knowable. Knowledge is illumination. Knowledge is enlightenment. The more you know, the more enlightened you are. And that is the truth about the universe. Even a dark forest must grow because of the photosynthesis of the sun. So all dark forests are illuminated because they have to get nourishment from the sun in order to grow. So there are no dark forests. The hunter is only hunting for food because they're a hunter. They only hunt one thing. All hunters hunt one thing. See, I grew up around hunters. I know when hunters go out, they're hunting for food. They only hunt one thing, and then they bring it back. Usually a deer, and then they cut it right there, tying it up to a tree, letting all their entrails fall out, and they slice it up. And that's how it works. That's how the hunter thing works. So this big scare tactic that the three-body problem and communism and socialism tries to create through global socialism within our modern society, this message that some scaredy cat politicians that are using all their resources to just buy power. And this is the corruption of our modern day society, and this is why Yoranthium talks about it, because it's so comical that these kind of ridiculous concepts of science fiction fantasy are actually emerging, and emerge as part of that problem. All those politicians attached to that emerge group that's being bought by like Hungary and Austrian and WEF financiers here in the United States, trying to push their global socialist values, the Gazis. Um, that's basically what I see in this whole entire uh, series of books called The Three Body Problem, is that it's basically socialism and communism. It's trying to tell people to be afraid, be afraid of the hunter in the forest. But the reality is, in the Yoranthium book series, I tell you, there are no dark forests. The universe is illuminated. Everything is knowable. Everything can be seen. Everything can be learned. And because it can be learned and because it can be understood, this creates illumination. Now, one of the things in the three body problem they go on to is if your planet alerts other civilizations in the universe that you exist, those civilizations are going to show up and destroy you. No, that's not going to happen. This is how life on Earth happens. It starts with an individual. The individual grows up as an individual, but then they meet another individual. These two individuals unite and they create family because they have children. And when they have children, they meet other families. And by meeting other families, they create tribes. And upon making tribes, tribes meet other tribes. Tribes form civilizations, and they do that on Earth. They form civilizations. The same thing applies to the universe. What happens here in the nature of Earth is the same that will happen out in the universe, in the solar system. One civilization will meet another civilization, and they will form an interstellar community because they're illuminated, because they are looking for each other through communication, through making sounds. It's like when you walk out into nature, how do you know a frog is out there? Because you can hear it. How do you know the birds are tweeting in the trees? Because you can hear them. Why do they do that? Because they're calling out to other civilizations. Just like Earth did with Carl Sagan, the Voyager probes, launching them out into space with a record telling them about the human population here on Earth. See, the communists want to be silent. They want to hide in the dark. They're afraid of being found and detected. They usually operate in heavy secrecy because they're afraid of everything else around them. Well, that's cowardly. The reality is you have to communicate. You're going to be found anyway. You can't hide anything. Everything creates a marker. Everything that you do creates a record of your existence. You create noise in everything that you do. When you go to sleep, you snore. When you wake up, you talk. You say things. You do stuff every day, right? So yes, you're communicating. So every single civilization is going to be detectable. I mean, when we look out on the star at the suns, one of the most incorrect things that we've ever ran into is the Fermi paradox. The Fermi paradox is nonsense. We are looking at stars that existed millions of years ago. Star systems and planets orbiting their suns at the same time our Earth itself was evolving. How difficult is it for us to detect other life forms? Very difficult, because we are not caught up to the same time frame. The modern time frame is not caught up. We're seeing planets from a long time ago, much, much older than Earth is, a long time ago. And so, of course, we're not going to find what we're looking for. But if we could actually see current time right now, we might actually find other civilizations like ours. But there's a lot of rules that go into the steps of a society, the foundations of a society, and the hurdles of a society. And I talk about that in the Yoranthium book series, about all these kind of things that are actually happening all at once. I know I started off in a fantasy period, but it's very important that we start off more in the past than the future. But we'll make our way to the future, because these incursions will take us to the future of Yoranthium. And that's why the books are so big, so many pages. That's why I've written a lot more than a lot of other authors, and that's why I should actually be funded in my publishing for my book, because I've looked around and I am really disappointed. A lot of the authors that are getting a lot of PBS attention, a lot of notoriety and stuff like that, a lot of news about themselves, they're just placating to a pandering of a false cult of woke agenda, which is completely false, and they're terrible writers. I'll talk more about those books later. But today we were just talking about the three-body problem and why the hunter in the dark forest is a nonsense allegory, and why the Uranthian book series is much better. The truth is, when one civilization communicates with another civilization, they will create an interstellar community. which is much stronger than a hunter in a forest. I mean, seriously, what is a hunter compared to a civilization? Not much. A hunter is just one individual out there hunting in a forest looking for a meal. What does a civilization do? Civilization is a hunter too. Civilization is providing itself civilization. It's out there gathering what it needs for civilization. That's what it's doing. On a cosmic scale, that's the same thing that other people are doing. Other civilizations are looking for other civilizations because together they might have the answers that lead to creating interstellar community by acquiring resources. They're all hunter gatherers. All civilizations are hunter gatherers. And they go out looking for those of similar interest. Like one individual meeting one individual to create family, one family finding another family to create tribe, one tribe finding another tribe to create civilization, civilization looking for civilization to create interstellar community because it's in our interest. So those who have no fear make noise. They can call out and find people. Now, see that's where the incompatibility of socialism and communism is a bad deal because they want us to hide. But if you hide, that's certain death because you can be found. If you set up your equipment the right way to transit the mass difference in time, the time barriers between one starlight to Earth's position, and you get a modern view of what is really actually out there in space, and you find another civilization, you will actually be able to identify them through the chemical composition of their atmosphere. You can tell if there's animal life there because of the methane that's produced. If it's within a certain range, it's probably just animal life, plant life. That's something that you can detect. And if it's more of a civilization, you can tell if they're putting metals in their atmosphere, if they're having carbon emissions, other pollutants being produced within their atmosphere. You can tell these things. You can identify these things, and you will actually know these things are actually truly happening because you can actually measure that. Now, if you measure that in an atmosphere, you can tell which planets actually have a possible civilization. You can also tell if they're building in outer space, if they're actually putting things on moons and on different planets, because they'll start putting out different signatures on these planets. So these things can be measured, and these things can be found, and they can be identified. So you don't have to worry about radio waves being detected because it's pretty obvious. The radio waves is just a more direct means to be contacted or connected to something else that may exist in our solar system or within range of Earth. And I'm pretty sure that because of how radiation works from like the sun and the solar winds reacts to radio waves, I'm sure there's probably a range that radio waves eventually are so diluted, are so broken apart, are so distorted or destroyed that ultimately in the end radio waves are prevented from even leaving a solar system in the first place because they travel slower than the speed of light, and there are so many other frequencies and other types of radiations out there that's definitely going to destroy your radio signal after a certain distance. It's just going to make it impossible. It's like, it's like talking. Your voice can only travel so far. The same thing with radio waves. They can only travel so far in the interstellar medium. Anyhow, all of this stuff is detectable and knowable. And there is no big bad alien race coming out to wipe out every other alien race just because they don't want to compete with alien races. Yeah, that's nonsense. So yeah, that's my whole thing with the three-body problem, is that if aliens wanted to just invade and try to take over, that whole entire theory is completely incorrect. because they wouldn't be able to actually do it. No matter how advanced they got, no matter how advanced their technology might have been, even with quantum entanglement, yeah, all this stuff is just scare tactics created by a communist regime, kind of communist socialism in science fiction, trying to be pushed through by the global socialists out of Hungary and Austria and the World Economic Forum and through their Swiss bank accounts that, China's an economic power. It wants economic superiority, and it tends to be very highly suppressive and oppressive by trying to make scare tactics, make you afraid of the universe. But Carl Sagan was never afraid of the universe. And Carl Sagan's a pretty smart cookie, don't you guys agree? Yes, he was. And I'm going to have to definitely say that, yeah, I think a lot of modern science fiction writers get too much clout, they get too much support. And I think the better science fiction writers, like myself, should be getting your support. So yeah, go to uranthiumbromley.com, get my pre-orders for my book, my hardback book. It's the actual refined version. My initial ebook release was just a placeholder so I could establish copyright claim should I run into people that I might have to sue for copyright infringement in the future. Um, but my book actually is a novel. It's a real book compared to some of the people that Mile High Con is actually showing off as their top hosts over at their convention. It's like dealing with modern politics in book writing. It's like being suppressed because of Nazi globalist dictators that are on the rise that have all the control over publishing and stuff, saying whose books get written. And these books that I've seen written by some real terrible writers. And I can talk about one of those. They're going to be showing up at a Mile High Con. They got some billing. They got some billing for themselves. And I looked at their books on Amazon and stuff. I scanned through their pages, and my God, I cannot believe the atrocious writing abilities that they actually have. But for some reason, they're being given tons of cash to actually promote themselves, and they're terrible writers in science fiction fantasy genres, and they're being billed as what, great writers? What kind of ego gave such a person such a thing? My book should be there. I'm the author that should actually be there, being given that kind of billing, because Yoranthium is a damn good book series, and I've written more than these people. These people have like 200-page books that they got out there, which is low content, and my book is a real novel, which is high content. So it's high end, high fantasy, high science fiction, and it involves politics, philosophy, and a whole bunch of concepts that actually is better than the three body problem, which is completely flawed. It's not really that good of a book. The theories are not that great either. I mean, as far as grabbing and latching on to higher sciences, I'd say great, fantastic. You latched on some higher concepts of what civilizations would use against civilizations if they had to go to war with each other. But the chances of civilizations going to war each other just for wiping each other out for the sake of wiping each other out, no, they're not going to do that. There's no point in that. That would be kind of pointless. Uh, So yeah, I mean, they didn't really think it through, really, through the most part. But my Uranthium book series does. My Uranthium book series tells you everything in the universe is illuminated. Everything is knowable. And you got a path you can choose. You have a filter that you can choose. You can choose the filter of evil or the filter of good for your society, for your approach to reaching out into space. The evil filter will destroy you. The good filter will enlighten you and make you part of a galactic community. So there you have it. Now, that's a little bit of a a spoiler for how the Yoranthium book series is going to turn out, why it talks about good and evil, why it has demons and God in the book, and why does it actually have this kind of spirituality going on? Because all civilizations are going to become spiritual. They are. Every single civilization is made in God's image. In book two, I explain that at the beginning of book two. I explain part of that. It's part of a theological concept, but it gets explained pretty well that all species across the universe will develop the same concepts of spirituality. And because they have the same concepts of spiritual belief, they will find solidarity in one another. So, interstellar community. And that's the ideas, and that's why you should be reading Uranthium rather than the three body problem. Simple enough. Anyways, I'm Mark Bromley of the Yoranthium book series, and this has gotten pretty long already. We'll talk more about this later, and I just wanted to put up the book cover again for the hardback book, which is available at my website. And you can pre-order the hardback book release. Once I get 100 books ordered there, I'm pretty much going to send them out to you, because it's all formatted, it's all ready to go. And, instead of wasting your money on a bunch of bad writers that are showing up within science fiction and fantasy and being promoted through PBS and a bunch of other areas just because of their cult of woke, failed philosophies and failed writings and terrible way of going about things because they create a bunch of low content books, who cares? Don't buy their stuff, buy my stuff. I'm the one that can use it. I'm the one that's creating it. So I've been into science fiction, fantasy ever since I was a kid. Uh, yeah, ever since my brother Danny dragged me over to the first Star Trek conventions here in the state of Colorado that was held at the community centers, um, where I ran into the L5 Society and a bunch of other people. And he dressed me up as a Romulan commander. He had a little cartoon book for me and everything like that as a Romulan commander of the Romulan Star Federation, the Mirror Universe. Anyways, that's just part of that. Anyway, yeah, get the Uranthium book series. I've been with these people for a long time. I've been working on in this fantasy science fiction genre for a very long time. I travel the world to actually understand concepts that I write about in my book of Uranthium. It seems a little bit more alien and a little bit more strange than what a lot of other authors write about. It's because it's based on actual experiences, not just sitting in a basement somewhere writing stuff. Uh, there's actually a real world experience attached to a lot of my stories there. And you might as well go and get the Uranthium book series from the author, me, Mark P. Bromley. Just go to my website, order the materials through PayPal there, and get the books. Just stop this global socialism stuff. I mean, they want you guys to be quiet, hiding from the hunter in the dark. What? One hunter in the dark? Really? Seriously? One hunter is nothing compared to his civilization, unless he straps like a nuclear bomb on his back. But then what? He's only going to take out one urban center? Whoop-de-doo. Yeah, the hunter of the dark will probably take care of himself first before he took care of any society or civilization or anything like that. So don't be afraid of the dark. It's all illuminated. Everything in the dark is illuminated. Remember that. You're just born too close to a sun here on Earth as a human being, and you have sun blindness. That's why you think things are dark when they're not. They're all illuminated. Everything is knowable. All knowledge can be known. Nothing is ever dark. There is nothing like dark matter. There is only illuminated matter. All matter is illuminated. Nothing is dark. Just remember that. It's a positive way about thinking about things, isn't it? It's even a more positive future. And that's how civilizations are created. That's how communities are created. Think about that one. Anyways, Uranthium book series is a great book series, and I highly encourage you to get it. Thank you very much. My name is Mark Bromley, author and artist of the Uranthium book series. You have a great day.